"Oh, when I get back to the dorms, I'll have more time to film," I said, like a lying liar who lies. Hello everyone, welcome back to the absolute nightmare shit show that is my channel. I am finally filming the community story time video that I put out a community post for months ago. It's finally getting done. We're finally doing that today. I have a Google Doc on my computer. I have not looked at most of these stories in months since putting them in the Google Doc. So we're gonna see today how this goes. Okay, story one. I don't know if this counts, but my partner isn't a witch, but I am, and we were talking about Zeus. They said something to mock him. Never a good idea. Something to the effect of, "Oh, I'm Zeus, I fuck whoever I want," and not even a full minute, we heard a crack of lightning and our room was lit up for a solid 3 seconds before a huge thunderstorm started. Scared the shit out of both of us. They asked me what to do, so I said give an offering to Zeus and apologize. So they gave him some of the homemade bread we made earlier in the day and apologized, and the storm calmed down almost instantly. To this day, one of the scariest things I've experienced, and also made my partner start thinking the gods were real. Yeah, that would do it. Good grief. I think, you know, some things just happen sometimes that makes even people who don't believe in the divine just go, "Oh, okay, yep, sorry, my bad." But yeah, general mockery of the gods is, yeah, that'll get a reaction sometimes. Other times they just kind of ignore you, because I mean, at the end of the day, you're a person, a human person, so alright, story 2. I asked Artemis for a sign, and not a second later 2 magnificent stags appeared and stared right at me, and they were gone as soon as they came. Slay! Okay, love that for Lady Artemis, honestly. Yeah, that's just, deer are so awesome. I love them. Stags, deer, I love them. They're beautiful. They're so pretty. But I love that. That's so cool. Okay, story 3. This is from last year, around the 8th year anniversary of my aunt's death. I was thinking about her a bunch, so I did some divination and determined that she was kind of stuck, like in a purgatory of sorts. So I started a 9-day ritual to help her out. Okay, that's weird. The thing about my aunt, though, is that she was a real piece of work, a master manipulator. We were completely no contact in the year before she passed. This is because her 40-something-year-old son got creepy at me, and her way of dealing with it was to sweep it under the rug. Ugh. Eventually she threw me under the bus to defend him. I was only 17 at the time. "Oh yeah, your aunt's a real piece of work. Not to speak ill of the dead, but ugh." So why did I think to help her out? 8 years had passed, and I'd certainly done my healing from it all, and I guess I couldn't help but pity her in that moment. Maybe that's why I did. That's fair enough. That's a fairly normal reaction to that kind of, and you know, it can be useful as a form of healing to try and help out the person. Obviously there's no obligation to, but you know, it can be useful depending on the person. Anyway, after day 1 of the ritual, I woke up pissing the bed, and then my vacuum started smoking as I was attempting to use it. That maybe should have been my first clue that something was wrong, but nonetheless I continued. After 3 days of the ritual, I pulled out my tarot deck to see how it was going. I pulled 4 cards. Here's what I got, in order. Magician reversed, the Tower, the Star reversed, and Temperance reversed. Deceit, Cataclysm, Hopelessness, and things out of balance. Needless to say, I promptly stopped the ritual, took the altar apart, and cleansed the fuck out of everything. Sorry, Auntie, you're on your own. Yeah, oh no, good grief. Oh dear. Yeah, though, that's a nightmare blunt rotation of cards together. Oh, good grief. Oh, I'm glad that you ended up stopping the ritual and cleansing everything, because yikes. Okay, story 4. I was at a Mormon church camp. That's a hell of a start. I was at a Mormon church camp and bored out of my goddamn mind. So I started communicating with random spirits that were lurking around there without any reservations. Bestie. Friend. Oh dear. Anyways, one of the spirits I was talking to was something along the lines of a demon. I asked, "Are you a demon?" and it said yes, but it could have just been going, close enough. I didn't have any sort of protection really going on, both because I was still a beginner and also I was bored. I can't judge you too harshly for that. We all do things when we're bored that we shouldn't. So anyway, clearly the demon was more entertained by me than the incredibly boring church camp, so when I left the premises, so too did the demon. At this point, it attached itself to me, and I can safely say that the week it took me to figure out what was happening was one of the worst of my life. I was feeling incredibly anxious, and I would have these incredibly disturbing intrusive thoughts, which is never something I've struggled with before. I just felt sick and unwell, and eventually I figured out that maybe I shouldn't have been communicating unprotected with a negative entity. Yeah, probably not. I just did a quick cleansing ritual involving some salt in my shower, and I was right as rain. The story isn't that crazy, but I went to a church camp and a demon attached itself to me for a week is kind of a funny sentence. That is an objectively pretty funny sentence. No good story ever begins with, "Well, I was at Mormon church camp." So, yeah, good grief. I'm glad that the cleansing worked, because, yikes. Yikes. That's not fun. That's not, and this is a good example of why we cleanse and protect before we communicate with anything. Like, I don't, even if you're bored, do the protection. Protection first. Always protection first. Alrighty, on to our fifth story. Once I had a crush on my friend, but he was in a relationship already, so for his birthday I made him a simple love spell jar. Not binding or anything crazy, just a simple push in the right direction because he's been having issues in that relationship. He was delighted with it. Exactly a month after I gave it to him, his partner, who was being toxic for months, broke up with him, and he was gutted. I helped him get happier, and a couple months later he confesses that he had subtle feelings for me for almost 5 months. What happened 5 months prior? I gave him the jar. Fast forward, we're dating now, living out happy homo lives. That led me to believe the jar wasn't trying to help his relationship, he just needed out of it to feel better. Yeah, sometimes magic manifests in ways you don't expect it to. I am glad that ended happily for both of you. But yeah, sometimes spells will manifest in ways that you don't intend, and sometimes your underlying intentions can also impact the way that things manifest, but that's really cool, honestly. Alright, story 6. This is back when I was obsessed with my ex in 2021. My very first spell was actually a love spell. Mistake. Yeah. Don't start with love spells. And not even 2 hours later, they texted me saying they wanted me back. That's a pretty strong love spell, friend. Yeah, to quote a meme that I saw, never start a marriage with a kidnapping. Don't do love spells to get, at least as your first thing. And I don't recommend it to start a relationship with a love spell. Like, there are like situations where I get it. There are like also situations with like a power imbalance where it can be a thing. There are like cultural roots to some of those practices, so I don't want to like demonize love spells as a thing, but if it's just like a I want my ex back thing, I don't recommend it. But yeah, that is funny, and that's a hell of a quick manifestation of a spell too. Jeez, 2 hours? Damn. Alrighty, here we have story 7. My mother cursed me out at 5 a.m. She threatened to throw out my work from home stuff, and then said she would destroy my altar to my goddess, and that I was disgusting for praying to some piece of shit god that wasn't Catholicism. That's not great. Yeah, not all parents are super chill with it, unfortunately. 10 minutes later, she's telling me she's going to the hospital on the way to her car and to work. She slipped on ice on the walkway driveway and broke her ribs in the fall. Her computer in her bag slammed into her ribs. The computer has problems too, but ribs come first. Womp womp, threaten my god, my job, my altar, and see what happens within 10 minutes max. Womp womp! It won't go well, and I'm sure she loved taking the day off work to spend money on a hospital trip. Don't wake me up at 5 a.m. to scream in my face and mock me or demean me over prayer and doing my own fucking job. Yeah. Yep. Womp womp, threaten my god, my job, my altar, and see what happens. I love that. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, that kind of thing happens sometimes. Honestly, yeah, I too would be responding with womp womp, see what happens if somebody woke me up screaming at 5 a.m. Oh boy. Oh, that was, jeez. I love that. Alrighty, story 8. Oh, here's a recent experience, like the start of the year. I was sleeping and I had one of those, like one of those dreams you get, you know, when nothing is distorted and everything is exactly where it's supposed to be. I was in my living room in the dream, standing in front of my couch, when suddenly I start getting choked. And I mean get choked in and out of my dream. Like I could feel me gasping for air, I could feel my throat closing and hurting, I could see the lights around my vision dimming like I was fainting. Then my older brother in my dream walked out of his room and stood behind the couch and said something along the lines of, "Don't worry, it's just Charles." I couldn't remember the actual name. If I was having a dream like that and my sister just appeared and was like, "Oh, don't worry, it's just Charles." What do you mean it's just Charles? What? So I started collapsing in my dream to the floor and my brother didn't run to help me. I woke up and my immediate thought was, oh shit, that's demonic. I say demonic to generalize for an entity attack. And I told my brother about it, who claims he is psychic-ish. I don't have much proof. And he says, yeah, there are 2 demonic creatures, a man and a woman. Wish he'd told me before. All in all, that was my first spiritual attack. 0 out of 10. Don't recommend. Do your protection, babes. Bonkers. Bonkers. Wild experience, gotta say. Dang. That genuinely had to have been terrifying. And I love how he's just so casually like, oh yeah, there's 2 demonic creatures. Just casually like, dude, why didn't you say something? It's mean. Bro. What the hell? Alrighty, story 9 was titled First Curse. This was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I was being harassed by my boyfriend's best bud. One day, in October of that year, I think, or maybe it was December, I forgot, I did a jar curse. Half white vinegar, half water, shit ton of chili flakes, and pepper to burn. I didn't have his picture, so I used a piece of paper with his full name on one side and my intention on the other. The more guy's full name tries to contact me, the worse his life gets. Repeated that about 9 times, so I called on several dark goddesses to help. I was still kinda new. And within 6 months, he ended up getting divorced, losing his job, and ended up in prison. Whoa, okay, that escalated quickly. Whew. And just a month ago, I did a protection spell to keep a creepy guy away. Did the spell on a full moon, charged on my altar, then wore it Monday. He was fired that day. He couldn't be in the building. Damn. Both of those ended up like really strong. Goodness. Dude went from like being creepy and a problem to divorced, no job, prison. Like, geez, and then the other's fired. Wow, that's impressive. I'm glad things ended up a bit better for you because, yikes. That's a good curse jar. I should keep that one in mind, honestly. Story 10. My ex tried to put a love spell on me while we were together. Went full no contact. That sounds like a good option. There's also the ghost in my grandmother's house that woke me up when half asleep. I saw that lady and she screamed for me to wake up. Nothing was wrong. Just getting harassed by a ghost in your grandma's house. Okay, that's fun. Yikes. I think if an ex had tried to put a love spell on me, I too would want to go no contact about it. Goodness. Alrighty, story 11. So I did everything right, you know? Cleansed, cut the wick, no oils or herbs, new 7-day candle, set intentions and everything. Boom! Candle explodes after like 2 hours of being lit. It tunneled. Yikes. Yeah, that's, if that kind of thing happens, usually that's a pretty good indicator of just like, it might not be meant to be with a spell if you do like everything that you're supposed to and you're practicing fire safety and it reacts that strongly, yeah, usually there's an indicator that there's something else going on there. So, yikes. Candles blowing up has always just been a fear of mine, honestly, because that got drilled into me at a very young age of like, we don't leave candles unattended, because one time apparently my grandma blew one up. I don't know how she managed that, honestly. I don't know how she managed to blow up the candle, but she did. She wasn't doing any kind of shenanigans, but she did blow up a candle, so yeah, I get it. That's spooky. That's spooky. Not a fan of that. Alrighty, and then the final story I have here. Once I had a manic episode and did a crazy curse on my ex. Like, bad. Like, graveyard dirt, broken glass, dead bugs, his full name, address, and birth chart, and a piece of fabric from his old t-shirt bad. Yeah, that's pretty strong. Goodness. Anyway, he got kicked out, dropped out, is living in his car, and his new girlfriend supposedly broke up with him because he was having pee-pee issues. Oh, it went after everything. All jokes aside, I feel terrible. He was honestly a really good dude. Not that it's his fault at all, but I feel like this was a bit too much. Oh, jeez. This is why we curse responsibly, and not when we're having a manic episode. Yeah, responsible cursing is important. This is one of the many reasons. But yeah, that went crazy. Good grief. Looking at these, I feel like a common theme is just like spells manifesting in kind of insane ways. A lot of baneful work, a lot of love spells, a lot of just things manifesting in kind of insane, bonkers ways. Which is not entirely surprising. I mean, the theme was craziest witchcraft experiences, so, you know, I feel like these do fit with that. Everything was bonkers. These were all kind of making me go, what the hell is going on there? But yeah, that's all the stories that I have from other people. I do have a story of my own, which falls into the trend of do your witchcraft responsibly. When I had been practicing for maybe a month or two and thought that I was hot shit and knew what I was doing, I was on a family vacation, so we were in a Airbnb type of house situation at the beach, and no protection set up or anything. I had like a little bit of stuff that I brought with me, like a candle and some stuff, but I thought I knew exactly what I was doing. But at the time, friend of mine was having a very bad time, and I thought, oh, I wonder if a protection spell would fix this. I can do that, because my parents and sister were like all out at that point, and I was just in the house by myself, so I was like, oh, I'll just do a protection spell. Should I cleanse or protect? Nah, it's fine. I'll be fine. This is normal. So in an uncleansed, unprotected space, I just was like, oh, yeah, I'll just do a protection spell for somebody. Looked one up on Pinterest. That was another mistake. Don't use protection spells you find randomly on Pinterest. I don't recommend it. Like, Pinterest can be useful for some things, for like researching herb properties and things. It can be kind of useful for that. You still just cross-examine, research. But I did the spell, and then the next day, he was having a much better time. He was having a great time. I, however, was having the worst time, approximately. My dog ran away out of the house. We found her. We got her back. She's alive and well, doing great. Love her. But dog ran away. It was miserably hot. My family was all arguey and mad at me because I was like, hey, if we leave the door open, the dog will keep figuring out ways to get out. And they're like, hey, it's too hot to not have the door open. Shut up. So, yeah, that was not great. And I eventually connected the dots of, oh, maybe I shouldn't do, that might have, I might have backfired a little. Yikes. But yeah, use your witchcraft responsibly. Do it responsibly. Cleanse, protect. Don't curse your ex in a manic episode or use love spells to get somebody to be with you. Do your witchcraft responsibly, kids. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I loved getting to see some of your stories. That was very fun. I hope to do another one of these videos at some point. I have other ideas in the works, including the project I've been working on for like a year because I keep putting off things, but that'll be a fun video if I ever get it done. But yeah, I hope you all have a good rest of your week, and I will upload again eventually.